Hello and welcome to the June 9th, 2021 Committee of the Whole. So I'd like to call this meeting to order at 3 p.m. and acknowledge that we are meeting today on the SWIA of the Seashell Nation. I'm going to ask right now for any declaration of conflict. Seeing none, let's move on to adoption of agenda. If there's no amendments, I'll look for a mover. Moved by the mayor, second by Councillor Toth. All in favor? Perfect. We have no appointments, no delegations, no new business. So let's move on to item 5.1, RV Sani Station location. And I believe this is a report from our Manager of Development, Engineering and Sustainability. Can I get a motion to receive the report? Moved, seconded, all in favor? Perfect. Over to Mrs. Lee.
Thank you. I've just got a short presentation to share. Share my screen here. So I've just got a few slides about the location. We're looking at two possible options. The operations yard, lot L off of Dusty Road, and the end of Seashell Inlet Crescent. So the standing station facility located on lot L of Dusty Road would need to be designed to allow RVs to turn fully around and go back the same direction they came. So conceptually, they would be turning left into the facility, turning around to dump, and then merging back onto Dusty Road. The westbound shoulder area would need to be built out to accommodate any waiting RVs. And if this design was to go forward, it would need to be coordinated and integrated with the operations building design. So it may not look exactly as it's been shown here conceptually, depending on how they place the building and the asphalt on that part of the lot. Facility located on Seashell Inlet Crescent would be located in the cul-de-sac at the east end of the road. The Sani Station structure would be positioned as an island structure near the center of the cul-de-sac to allow continued use of the full turning radius, as well as a close connection to the RV dump valve location on RVs. So it looks somewhat like it's been shown here conceptually. A request for feedback was sent out to several local community groups as well as property owners on Seashell Inlet Crescent. In general, all respondents agreed that Seashell needs a Sani Station facility. The Downtown Business Association, as well as tourism, preferred an industrial location away from the downtown, citing concerns around traffic, visual impacts, and congestion. We received two responses from property owners. Seashell Truck and Equipment, located in the Seashell Inlet Crescent cul-de-sac, where the station would be located, was strongly opposed to this location. They currently use the area for parking, and they also had concerns about odor and congestion with the truck traffic. Marsh Landscaping, located further to the west on Seashell Inlet Crescent, was not opposed. However, they did note that Seashell Truck and Equipment uses this area for parking and may cause them an issue. So the pros of locating at Dusty Road, no apparent opposition from the community or the neighborhood, and inspection and maintenance doesn't require a special trip because it's already the operations yard. The cons are significant servicing requirements for sanitary and water supply, significant paving and grade work. Ditch infill is necessary to provide a shoulder for the waiting RVs. It may cause congestion on Dusty Road, though it's worth noting that the dump will eventually be closed, reducing traffic up the road. Considering a partial cost sharing with the operations building for extending the services, this option is still likely to exceed the grant funding amount, and it would also incur additional design fees for the ops building design, as it would have to be integrated. And because the operations building is in the conceptual stage, the extent of integration and service sharing isn't certain. The grant deadline for construction of the Sani Station is March 2023, and it may not line up with the completion of the building and commissioning of all the services. So there's that to consider as well. Seashell Inlet Crescent, the pros are all the required utilities are in place. The area is already paved with adequate turning radius. The area is industrial in use, which lines up with recommendations from the community. There's little pedestrian traffic. It's a dead-end road, so it's safe from a traffic perspective. The cons are substantial opposition from at least one business owner. It may create some conflicts with large trucks turning the cul-de-sac when there are RVs using the facility, as well as waiting RVs may obstruct driveways if they don't obey the signage. This area is not on a regular maintenance route, so special site visits will be required for inspection and maintenance. And if truck parking continues in the cul-de-sac, it may end up obstructing the access to the facility for the RVs. So both sites are similar in terms of their general location, accessibility, and industrial use, and would be appropriate locations for a SANI station. When considering the cost estimates and uncertainties of locating the facility in the operations yard, locating the SANI station on Seashell Inlet Crescent becomes the preferred option. But further consultation with the adjacent property owners would need to be part of the detailed design process for this location. So that concludes the slides, and I'd be happy to take questions.
Perfect. Questions from council? Mayor Seegers.
Thank you. So the truck maintenance building business up there, they have property or they have land on site, do they not, for having their customers basically park or not? Like, what's the?
They do, yeah. They have quite a large property there. I'm not sure why they use the cul-de-sac for parking, but it's just apparent that there's quite a few trucks and service vehicles parked in the parking lot related to their business. And then they shared opposition based on that, but they do have quite a large property, but I haven't investigated it any further than that.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Councillor Toth next.
Thank you. I think I prefer the location sort of integrated with the ops center. I think it makes a lot of sense from security and maintenance and oversight of the facility. One question I do have though, would we be looking to pave everything that is being used as a driveway, or is there any opportunity to use a less expensive and less invasive product like turf stone or something like that to do a lot of the driveway with?
Yeah, there is, though there's maintenance associated with that. So I don't know that the cost savings would be significant enough to offset the long-term maintenance of an alternative product. Also, if there is ever spills or even rainwater management and things like that could be more challenging with those types of products. So I don't think the cost savings would be enough to bring it below the threshold.
Okay, next up I have Councillor Lamb.
Where would the SANI station be on Dusty Road? Would it be on the south side of the road, or would it be on the operations side of the road?
It would be on the operations side of the road, so on the north side of Dusty Road.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
And what?
Go ahead.
What was the time frame on Dusty Road? What did you figure? Was it 2 years out?
I don't know the timeline for the full commissioning of the servicing for the operations building. I don't know that that's certain yet, but the grant funding deadline for the SANI station commissioning is March 2023.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going ahead with the operations center, I mean, they could run the sewer line over there before the operations center goes into operation, and they could hook it up. You know.
Yeah, no, it's certainly possible. It's just more uncertainties with committing to that option for both cost and timeline.
Yeah, good, perfect. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go over to Mayor Seegers now.
I understand what Councillor Toth is saying. For servicing the Dusty Road site, top notch. For getting it in and coming in under the budget amount that we have, Seashell Inlet Crescent is the preferred location. Yes, it is. We have a business there who has been using the public roadway as part of their business parking. It's a public roadway. So yes, it will be it may be an inconvenience for them and they'll need to deal with that. But this is something that I think we need on the Sunshine Coast, and moving it to Seashell Inlet Crescent would actually probably get it up and running at least by early next year, maybe sooner, given the infrastructure is already there. So I'm leaning towards Seashell Inlet Crescent.
Okay, I've put myself in the line, so I'll go next. A question on the Seashell Inlet Road location. Is there, has staff looked at the turning radius presented within that? Because essentially the location's in the middle of a roundabout or a turnaround at the end of the street. So can trucks make the turn? And is there any risk of the equipment getting damaged because it is essentially located in the middle of the street?
Yeah, so we looked at both of those situations, and that's why it's being located as an island towards the center to maintain a large truck turning radius. So that's being considered, and that'll be vetted out further in the detailed design just to ensure that it does have for the swing radius of certain vehicles that it will fit. And the option of locating it there would necessitate some bollards and maybe some concrete protection as well to the facility. I mean, you do see islands in the middle of cul-de-sacs, frequently, and it would have to be constructed in a way that it's highly visual and has some either concrete or bollard protection.
Okay, thank you. I have Councillor Toth next.
I'm actually going to defer to Councillor Scott because he hasn't spoken yet.
Works for me.
Thanks. I drove up and had a look at that, and with a crew cab long box pickup and a 40-foot fifth wheel, I don't think you have a hope of making that corner and positioning yourself in a spot where you're going to reach the rear of your RV to be able to properly dump. I just don't think there's enough space there. So that's my only comment. I would suggest that we probably find somebody with something like that so that we can go up and have a look. And I feel that they probably will be blocking accesses to the businesses while they're doing that. So it wouldn't be my first choice. I'd go to Dusty Road.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Councillor Toth and then Lamb.
Thank you. Yeah, Seashell Inlet Crescent seems, it's the cheaper option. We can get it in the ground, quickly. But we've got another distributed asset that we then have to look after in a location that's really, our staff have no reason to go up there normally. Seashell, putting it on Dusty Road is going to be more expensive up front, but I think the operations and maintenance of it are going to be lower over time. And theoretically, we're only building it once, unless a truck wipes it out somewhere. But theoretically, we're only building it once. So I think we need to look at the operations and maintenance on it. And if staff have to try and find a way to make it work within the budget, or maybe we've got to contribute a little bit towards paving or staging a paving job. Maybe it's gravel for a year until we can put some pavement down, something like that. I'm okay with that. Yeah, so I'm willing to move a modified recommendation to that council support the recommendation of Dusty Road as the location for the RV sanitation.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Rowe. Okay, we have a motion on the table. Councillor Lamb, would you like to speak to that motion?
No, I just had some other comments with regards to the businesses in the community there.
Okay, I think we have a recommendation on the table, so I'm going to go over to Mayor Seegers and then Councillor Scott.
Thank you. So if we approve this to go to Dusty Road, what kind of time frame would we be looking at to actually get it up and running? Or is that still something that we need to look at inside of the building of the Public Works Yard facility?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll answer this one through the chair to your worship. So it should be done in concert with the operations center if that's the intent. It should be integrated into the design of that facility. Right now, at our current stage we're just doing our contract reviews, and we're meeting with, we have our owner's rep in place. We have discussions with the contractor to try and get the project moving. But I think from detailed design to full build out, I think we're targeting like a 16-month window there, and that's a pretty optimistic timeline. So I'd have to, my next step, if this was chosen by council as a site, Dusty Roads, is to bring that to the owner's representative's attention, and they're very good at setting up critical paths for project schedules and things like that. So I can try and I'll tell them that this is a priority, that if we can look at ways of trying to get it done as soon as possible, so I could come back with a subsequent email to council or some information on what the timeline of that would be. But at this point, I would say probably it wouldn't happen this summer is what I'm thinking.
Okay, and the one for Seashell Inlet Road could potentially happen for this summer?
That would be my understanding, but Megan can, the manager of development, engineering, and sustainability can fill you in on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't guarantee that it would be ready for this summer, likely for the fall, depending on contractor availability. We'd start working on the design right away, and that we'd have to be tendered and awarded, and it would depend on the contractor's schedule. So, I would target fall 2021 for that.
Okay, and the other project, you're saying 16 months. Director Dillon, was 16 months when the other project would start, you believe? Like time frame?
No, I would say in an ideal world that if we were to have a contract in place with a contractor by next Monday, take about 6 months for all the detailed design and utilities coordination to happen, shovels in the ground, after that, and give it another year to get built to completion. So somewhere along that timeline is usually dictated by the contractor is when the installation would happen. But just based on my understanding of how these projects get built and the fact that you wouldn't want any heavy equipment damaging your newly installed infrastructure, they would probably tend to want to do it towards the end of the building of the operations center, which would put it sometime, if it was even done by fall of 2022, I think that would be optimistic under that scenario.
So that would still be within the timeline of the grant, because we're looking at March 31st, 2023. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I have Councillor Scott next.
When we were discussing the op center, it was still up in the air as to whether that was going to be a sewer tie-in or if it was going to have a holding tank. Have we got to a state where it's 100% going to be a sewer tie-in?
Yeah, so to Councillor Scott through the chair, a holding tank was never an option for that building. It was either, it was a dedicated sanitary sewer extension or tying into an existing outfall that leads Dusty Road. I can't say 100% at this point whether it's the Dusty Road option that will go ahead. I'm not going to make a guess at what that percentage would be. It'd be high though, 80% maybe likely that we would do that. But we need to go through the engineering due diligence before we can provide a 100% answer on that. But I think the Dusty Road option is highly feasible. So we're avoiding trying to do a dedicated sanitary sewer line to the new facility, and just trying to use what's there already.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks. Councillor Lamb.
Yeah, one of the things I'm just a little bit concerned about is we haven't thought about BA Blacktop has 3 lots on the right-hand side, across from Seashell Inlet truck. And, they use that. That's an industrial site right now where they have, trucks, like a gravel truck towing up what they call a pup coming in there. But the other side of it is what happens when BA Blacktop vacates that area and sells those lots off. We have no idea what the end user would be. And maybe they're not thinking about selling that, but we have to be thinking about the future as to the use of that. So, just food for thought there. That's all I'm thinking.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Lamb. And that is the end of my speakers list. So seeing no other yellow hands, I'm going to ask for a vote for in support of the Dusty Road option. All in favor? Okay, all in favor. I don't think I saw any opposed, and that passes. Thank you, everyone. So our final, Councillor Lamb.
Yes, I would just like to make a comment here that Paul Nash brought forward the Inlet Road potential site, and it's pretty cool that that somebody from the public brought something forward, and it's something that we should be just acknowledging, because it's you have to have the support of your community and people from your community thinking. At times you want them to have some input as to what we're trying to do. So anyways, Paul usually comes up with some pretty good ideas, and I just like to make sure that he's acknowledged for that. At least we get him down in here, but at the same time, hopefully we get the public to help us, support us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Councillor Lamb. I think as councillors, all of our inboxes are open and we're always welcome for feedback. So it's nice to recognize that when somebody does bring forward a very good option, even though we didn't end up going with that option. So just finally, we have adjournment of the meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Mayor Seegers, Councillor Lamb, all in